We are back. Another episode of The Talk. I'm Pablo. That's Jake. I don't know which direction this will flip it to, but we're back with our week three recap, week four look ahead. Um, Best matchup of the week was a wash. Uh,
I know Andres
so
didn't come to play.
I think it's less on Jess didn't come to play, more Emgrim's team is just stacked. Our best matchup this week was ended up being Tommy versus Josh, which was a 3-point swing. Tommy almost risk
It could have
falling to
tied there
0
at
and
the end.
3. It could have been a tie there at the end. Tommy's got an uphill climb this next week. He's got Emgrim, so he's gonna be looking at 1-3 to start the season, which is rough, but it's still early and there is a clear distinction uh between the top teams that are probably gonna make playoffs and everyone else. So I think he'll be fine. To sum everything up. This week we have an even better matchup this week. We got me versus you. Uh
Mhm.
so we're gonna have to make this interesting. We're gonna have to side bet. So I know you want to do it, so loser has to shave their eyebrow. I think that's fair.
Oh yeah.
We both
If I
working
Cooper Cup, I'd be a lot more willing to agree to that.
we both have client facing jobs, so it's the only thing that we can do.
Yep, I'm sure. I'm sure the people I meet with at my job would be very appreciative of me missing an eyebrow.
I think they would too. I think they'd be like, "That's a good look for you."
Probably.
No, we'll figure out something on the side to up the ante. I think right now projections are pretty evenly matched too, so I think it's worthwhile. We can come
Mhm.
up with something fun. Um, but yeah, no, we'll kick it off with recapping week three. Before we head into our week four, our power rankings, and then kind of touch up on what we want to see in week four. So to start, like we had said, Andres fallen to Mgrims, our current league champion. Um, Two losses already. I'm not taking any stock into it. He's one of four teams that has over 400 points already. His losses are to the two teams that sit at the top right now with Mgrims and Ethan. So I think it's just a matter of first him picking the right guys to play. His running back position's been kind of meh. Although it's still been potent, obviously, but he won't have to play them again for a while if he does, so he'll be fine. He probably won't lose another game until he plays one of them again, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Even though he's 1-2, really not worried. He's got the two hardest games of his year already out of the way, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish the year 12-2. Or at least 11-3. So yeah, he's in a good spot. Laporta breaking out too is big for him, especially with Fryermuth kind of having a rough year. So that's big for him to have Laporta break out.
And he
And
moved he moved Kittle to get Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon looked pretty good this past week.
yeah,
I don't think he's
he
gonna get
wasn't
that
playing
kind
him
of.
though.
No, he didn't, which I didn't
Mhm.
understand, but
Yeah,
we'll see. Next up on my notes, I have Steven's max PF strategy. Steven's gonna get the number one overall pick. The man's team is
yeah.
terrible.
He jumped to the bottom. He's
He
I think he's
made
like 30 or 40 points clear at the bottom now.
he nosedived, and it's gonna work out for him because Remy's team's awful. Remy's gonna get Aaron Jones back, and then Adam Thielen looked pretty good, but those two guys aren't gonna make up for the rest of the team. So
Yeah, and
is
Remy's actively shopping Aaron
Aaron
Jones. He put
Jones.
it in the chat.
He
So
did. So anyone interested in a running back, go hit up Remy for Aaron Jones. Um, Mike, all it might cost you is Curtis Samuel and Jamal Williams. So you never know. Um, Josh, Josh, when when it rains, it pours. I mean, first losing Nick Chubb, and he's probably gonna get Nick Chubb back next year. I wouldn't move him if I were him. Nick Chubb's still gonna be elite. He's a freak of nature. But losing Mike Williams, I mean, it's tough, but we could have guessed that one. It sucks.
Yeah,
It's really
that sounded like an injury because
unfortunate.
Mike Williams is having such a good year, and
He started
he's
out
just
on
losing
fire.
high. He's just losing high quality big performers, and it's I don't know, it's just not good for him because we highlighted his team at the beginning of the year. It's like if he stays healthy, he's competing, but he's not staying healthy. So it
And
looks like it'll be
he's
a
got
year in the
three
losers bracket.
QBs. He's got three QBs, two of which you can start any week right now with Kirk Cousins and Tua. But then he's also got Michael Pittman and Josh Downs who look pretty solid for the Colts. So I'm not, and Isaiah Pacheco with Austin Eckler coming back this week, it does help, but I'm not flashing any alarms yet. But he might have to make a move if he wants to contend this year.
Yeah, no, he's definitely got to look at moving those quarterbacks. Um, some of the I guess some of the bright spots for his team, there's not many, is Tyjae Spears. He's been out snapping Derrick Henry
But he
because
hasn't
with
been
them being behind,
producing.
he's not turning into points, but he's getting receiving work. He's just getting like 1 yard a catch basically at this
Yeah.
point. And then
But the tight ends
Josh
just
Downs
don't.
is starting to look pretty good too. So that could be good for him, but still, it's like that would have been a lot more helpful if his main guy stayed healthy, and that could have helped him carry him to a title. Versus now, it's like that might carry him to a playoff spot, but probably not.
Hey, maybe he moves his first for Aaron Jones. I think that'll keep him alive, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if Remy would even want to do that at this point. Uh Josh keeps winning. 3-0.
yeah,
One of four teams to be 3-0. He's had a pretty easy schedule up to this point, but you know what they say, you can only beat who's in front of you, and that's all he's been doing. And Kenneth Walker's been phenomenal this season. Seattle
Mhm.
historically runs the football. And yeah, they drafted Zach Charbonnet, and Charbonnet's been getting more uptake. But my God, Kenneth Walker's been efficient. He gets in the end zone, and he's just been carrying that team. And we still haven't even seen Gibbs break out yet. So,
Yeah. Gibbs is just going to keep getting more touches throughout the year. Walker, he's scoring a lot of touchdowns, and it's like he's losing playing. He's starting to lose a little bit of playing time. They're evening out between him and Charbonnet, but he's still getting 21 touches. So it's not like it. It's not like that lack of playing time is leading to less production.
and
I
he
don't know.
stole,
For
and
him, I feel like to keep it up, he's just got to keep Terry McLaurin, or he's got to see Terry McLaurin kind of start to pick it up this year because he's been pretty quiet so far.
and he stole Tutu Atwell. I mean, he stole him straight off waivers. People left him. He was on there until week 2. So
Yeah,
that's a huge pickup for him. He needed a wide receiver too. And now once
yeah,
David Montgomery comes back, he's got a bit more roster stability. Trevor Lawrence has looked okay so far this year, outside of week
yeah,
1, but I think it'll get better.
yeah.
And
I
then
think so too.
Dumais takes a hit this week.
Mhm.
Team regressed a bit, so I still like his team more than I like some of the other teams in the league. But once again,
He's
he was
still
the
a year
lowest
away.
scoring team. Yeah, it's a year away. And I think there are certain, the thing is, he's got such boomer bust guys. That's
Yeah,
the problem. But I think he's a year or two away from really being there. And when your team's being headlined by Bijan Robinson and then Jaden Reed looks legit, I think he'll be fine. I like his team a lot more than some other teams with a future outlook.
yeah. No, and he's still like he could move someone like Zeke, who had a pretty good week this week, maybe for another pick or two, kind of late, like a later round thing, probably, but just to kind of help him finish restocking that roster this next draft and see if he can
Yeah,
really step
definitely.
up
And
his
I don't know what he can do, but there are moves that can be made,
yeah.
and he's been pretty good at it. And I think one of the biggest storylines this week is just Jacoby coming after everyone. The man is fed up, and I love that energy. And I think the two that he's come after the most are me and you.
Well, this week I just gotta say I shut him up. He was coming after me when it looked like he might have a chance, but all I gotta say is catch this L Jacoby. Shit talk Pablo, not me.
Yeah, I don't even know when. I think I play him next week. Don't
Maybe
quote me on that.
let's
I
see.
play him
Let's see.
soon, I think.
Yeah, because that'll be a big game for you. Because I feel like if you, yep, it's week 5. So if you beat him, I feel like that's a big like he can't shit talk you for at least a week after
He can't
that.
shit talk. But if I lose, he takes my
It's
spot
permanent. Yeah,
here.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly.
how it works.
He,
If I get beat, I'm gone. I mean,
yeah, he takes your place on the show.
it's only fair. I gotta respect it. Those are the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
God. But taking a look ahead now, is there anyone that surprised you this week or anything that kind of still you were that we've talked about in the past that you just saw this week that you're like still hasn't got in there? You're finally seeing it starting to uptick.
I mean, probably my biggest surprise was just Joss going 3-0. That was just it was big for him to get another win. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't against a strong opponent, but still he didn't it's not like he scored like no points, still got like 111, which isn't too bad. Um for me though, it's just this was a week where Jacoby kind of surprised me too, where it's like his team's not good, but it's not like the worst in the league, which it kind of feels like it should be at some points. Like because it's like he had a bad week from Derrick Henry, who's kind of having some early season struggles like last year.
Yeah.
But it's like if Derrick Henry does get up and running again, Jacoby could definitely be playing spoiler to a lot of teams towards the end of the year,
But
and
even
maybe even sneaking into the playoffs for a third year straight.
yeah, and I mean he's been a mainstay in the playoffs. I mean, there's
Yeah,
still a lot of questions around his team, and there's still a lot that needs to unfold with some other teams, but we're still waiting for Enrique's team to show up. Like we're seeing what's gonna happen with Joss's team once he plays some tougher competition. Although he did beat M Tom already. So that's one thing. But the
yeah,
one that surprised me was Josh. I mean, Josh scored what 138 without
yeah. That was a big
Chubb
week for.
or Eckler. If he can get production like that, then you never know. And all
Yeah,
it is, it's 1 week at a time, especially once we get to the playoffs. 1 week at a time. That's all you got
yeah.
to
We
win.
we've already seen a 6 seed win the league, so that's a big.
We've seen an eight seed win the league. Remy was an eight.
No, he's a 6.
No, he was an eight. He played the one seed, I thought.
No, he played me first round as a 3 seed,
Oh,
I think.
oh, did he?
Because I no, I believe me, I remember that because I would have beaten every single team every week except for him.
That's what
It was
Ethan.
my
That's
title if I didn't lose that game.
that's what Ethan had said last year when I beat him as an A seed.
Yeah.
I pulled off my miracle run. Hey, my team's still cooking. But uh with that, with we'll bring up our rankings. I think last week we had somewhat similar, couple differences. This week I struggled a bit, so I have some notes and some crosses. So at one I have M Grims, clear and obvious. We had this discussion
that,
already. He's number one.
that's pretty straightforward. That's
There's no
definitely
discussion. Doesn't even
yeah.
have Saquon right now. Doesn't
Or
have
Jonathan
Jonathan
Taylor
Taylor.
or Brees
So
Hall barely.
or Brees Hall. So number two, I have Ethan. His team's been performing great. Uh, I want to say they're overachieving, but he was the one seed last year, so I trust his team. Raheem Mostert was a monster. So he had a good week. Mike Evans has been consistent to this point, so good pickup for him. At three, I have Andres. The 1-2 record doesn't bother me, especially since he lost to 1-2. Um, he's still got one of the best teams in the league. He's one of the highest scoring teams, so not worried. Four, I have myself. 3-0, the fourth of those 400 scores. Um, I still haven't played either of the top three or you, who I have at five. So I still don't know how to feel about my team, but they're scoring better than they were last year. And I've gotten a lot of help from breakout running backs in Kyron and Zach Moss. And even James Conner, I think, is breaking out this year too. He's having a phenomenal year to this point. Five, I have you. Kamara, healthy again. He's back now. We'll see what he has. You needed that second RB. Once you get Cup, your team's probably going to leap past mine. And I'd put you with those three other contenders because of how good your team is. We still got to see where Jordan Love's at, but if he can play consistent enough, I think your team's great. Tommy at six. His record also doesn't scare me. His team's really good. They're going to start picking it up soon. M Tom at seven. I have some question marks on his team. Alexander Madison now with Cam Akers in town worries me. He's gonna lose snaps very clearly, so we'll see. And then AJ Brown and Debo Samuel aren't consistent enough to this point where I'm praising them as top 10. AJ Brown's a top 10 guy. Debo's a top 15 guy, but they're not top 5 wide receivers like they've been considered in the past in terms of
Yeah.
fantasy. I have Josh at 8, 3-0 record's great. His scoring total isn't where it should be. So we'll see if some better competition brings it down. Josh at 9. Without Nick Chubb, it's a lot tougher. We'll see if he gets any breakouts along the way. But I have him outside looking in. Jacoby at 10, like you had said, his team played better than it should have. Derrick Henry hasn't hit his stride yet. We don't know what Cam Akers is going to bring to the table. Dumay at 11, I like his rebuild. I like Bijan. He's got boomer bust guys. There are weeks where he's going to be able to score 130. There's weeks where he's going to score 80. That's the reality. That's where his team's at. It's still better than some other teams. Remy at 12. We touched on him earlier. He's got Aaron Jones. Adam Thielen looks fine. He's got Dak, but altogether, it's really difficult to trust his team, and he needs to start gathering some more draft capital to be able to build. Enrique at 13, his team just hasn't found it yet. The man's got Devontae Adams. His team's like the Raiders in real life. There's no winning culture yet. They got to put it together and figure out where to go from here, but he's got young talent, so I like his future outlook better than I do now. Maybe Devontae Adams gets traded. He'll get a really good haul for him. Steven at 14, just because his team sucks right now, but the man's going to be in our top 7 next season, so I'm not worried about him. He's got a little asterisk next to his 14.
Yeah. Our rankings are pretty similar this week. I went back to a less reactive ranking system this week, so we're a little more
because you didn't lose.
Well, yeah, but but our top 3 are the exact same. I have Ingram's first. Not much to say there. There's literally nothing to say. Ethan, he's my second, and I don't know. He's just his team's really good. He's 3-0. If he wasn't in the same division as Ingram's, he'd easily be the number 1 seed. And his only question marks are which QB to start, and that's about it. And then for him, getting Mostert off me at the end of last year was a massive throw-in for him, and is definitely helping him a lot this year.
You getting Mostert from me was a throwaway, but that deal I got Mostert in was a throwaway too.
Mostert's just been getting passed around. He's finally feeling valued. 3, I got Undress. Yeah, the 1 and 2 doesn't scare me. I could see him running the table. It's just not. And then adding Laporta, who he already has a big role. And then I don't know, his running back room looks a little shaky, but it should figure itself out. And he's got players in draft capital to add to that too if he needs a little more. This is 4, 5, 6. I have flipped from you, so I put Tommy at 4, kind of surprisingly. I feel like this week he proved what he has. He put up 141, which I think was 3rd highest on the week. And no, I actually might have been 2nd highest, but yeah, it was a good first win for him, even though it was close. His team just needs to learn some defense. Jacobs hasn't gotten going, but if Jacobs can't get going, his team's really gonna kind of be part of that top 3. 5, I have you. I have you ahead of me. This was a bit of a record pick. Plus, you're just a little healthier than I am at the moment. You're getting some guys back this week, and I'm hoping to get some guys back in the next 3-4 weeks. But Zach Moss is big, especially if JT decides to sit out the rest of the year. Then you got a waiver wire pickup there. That's a massive contributor for the rest of the year. Olave keeps getting a lot of yards and receptions. It's just if he can start putting touchdowns, he's going to go like nuclear for you. And then
like Deontay Johnson out there.
Yeah, exactly. Not as bad as him though. Deontay Johnson had 130 targets on a touchdown, which is crazy. And then I just say, and Watson Waddle back against me too is just not good. And then 6, I have myself. I don't know. My team, we've survived the first 3 weeks, which is really all I was asking with the Cup injury, Kamara being out, and Kyler still being on IR. So I'm happy to escape that with still in a decent spot. I have a tougher schedule coming up. I have you, and then I think I have Ethan next week. But
Mhm.
with Kamar back, that's big. And then Jacoby Myers for me is a big surprise player. That's like I knew he's going to be a decent bench guy, but he's turned into a pretty high level contributor for me, which is
I
big.
can't believe you wouldn't trade him to me.
Well, because I was thinking this might happen, so there we go. Worked out for me. Seven, I have M Tom. Same thing as you. Just his team's good, but there's a lot of question marks. Debo had a big week, but there's no Ayuk, and he seems to kind of be second fiddle to Ayuk this year. Um, Madison, he had a pretty good week, but he hasn't looked great other than this week. And they just brought in Akers, and then AJ Brown finally had his bounce back week. Joss, I have at 8. 3-0. They need to put him in a playoff spot here. Yeah, Walker's looking good for him. I don't know. It's just whether or not his team, once he plays different competition, can keep improving, especially and see if guys like Gibbs can start getting more work too. 9, I have Enrique. This is our biggest difference, I think,
Really?
because I don't know. Enrique's team is starting to show me. I was looking at it. I think it's starting to look a lot better. I think he can still snag this last playoff spot and maybe make some noise because he's got Amon Ra. Amon Ra's another week away from that toe injury. Drake London, I mean, Drake London's good, but he's just not
He's
going to go.
starting to produce more now too.
Yeah, exactly. They're starting to try to give him the ball, which they weren't trying to do at times last year, which didn't make any sense. And then he has Devontae Adams too, which is just so good. And then he's got Charbonnet and Harris, who Charbonnet's starting to get more work. He's at like 40 something% snap share now, which is good. So maybe
Yeah.
if he can start to turn that into more points, and that definitely helps him with his 2 running back spots. And then yeah, Najee too. It's just whether or not he can become a little more than average. But I think his team's good enough to maybe sneak that 8th spot. I think it's still just a mid-tier team. I don't think it's
Yeah.
like the worst team in the league. 10, I have Josh. Josh is I'm all the way down here just because the injuries. Losing Mike Williams, who's his biggest producer this week, is bad. But yeah, as I said, Josh Downs is looking good, and Spears is seeming like he might get a run in that offense. So
He's carving out a role, which
yeah,
most other
exactly.
running backs alongside Henry haven't been able to.
Yeah, exactly, which is pretty impressive. So it's I don't know. He's the injuries have brought him from probably where he from like 5 or 6 down to 10, but I think he'll still kind of be around that edge of the playoffs. Then 11, I have Jacoby. For Jacoby, caught that L to me this week. It kind of feels like the tank is happening whether he likes it or not. Um, Herbert kind of looked good. Finally looked like a little more like old Herbert, which was nice. Christian Kirk had a pretty good week too, but yeah, I don't know. His team, I feel like he should be trading guys, but also he might want to just rely and see if Derrick Henry can start putting up like 25 points a game again. Um,
He's still got
12,
to wait on. He's also still got to just wait on Akers at this point.
yeah, that too. Yeah, I forgot he even had Akers on his roster. But yeah, Akers should probably play next week. I think they just held him out because he came late in the week. They want to give him more time to learn the playbook. Next, I have James Dumais, the goat himself. Um,
My goat for real.
yeah, he definitely. I mean, he's got so many good young players, but yeah, it's a lot of up and down with them right now. Like this was one of the down weeks with a lot of his young guys, and it led to him being one of the worst point scorers. But he's got a lot of up and down with them. He's not going to be around the playoffs most likely, but he can still maneuver his team a little bit just to give him enough juice to get in the playoffs next year. 13, I have Remy. Um, yeah, his team's just kind of rough. I mean, he needs to start trading some guys for picks because, yeah, I don't know. He needs to start to get this rebuild going so he can reset and really kind of attack this league again, like a year or two. But he is one of our winners, so he's in the money for the next like 10 years. So
Yeah,
he's got
that
plenty of
that
time to
that is
rebuild.
true. That is so true. Unless we up the ante, which is going to be discussed.
yeah. Unless we up the
He is
buy-in,
one of our winners.
he's in the green for a while, so he can feel comfortable in that whenever he's rebuilding. That he's made more money than most of us on this league,
We're
than
all
all
in
of
the
us except
red.
for 2 people.
Except for two other people, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. And then last, I have Steven. Um, Excellent rebuild going on. As someone who also did their own rebuild, I'm proud of this rebuild. It looks good.
Didn't you miss the playoffs last year?
I did miss the playoffs. Hey, the year before though, I would have won. And then last year, the injury
We're
bug
doing what
hit.
of? We're doing what ofs?
I
We're
would
doing
have,
what ofs?
except for one man. One man stopped me. But yeah,
Our former league champion stopped you.
yeah, our league champion stopped me. That was the
Our
only guy
league
that could stop
champion.
me.
That's
That was
crazy.
the year I
That's
had
so
four wide receiver ones on my roster.
that's so funny, dude.
Yeah, I had no running backs. I had Etienne and Dobbins were both out for the year, and I still had like one of the best teams in the league. But
Too bad you suck.
I'm definitely over it. Yeah, but Steven, he kind of this week I feel like he found a couple more trade pieces to improve that rebuild a bit. Hunt might be getting some more work, and
Bills
maybe trade that
defense.
Buffalo defense to someone that needs one. I feel like someone like Tommy would definitely be coming for something like that. But
Does
but that's
Tommy
my
even
list.
have anything to trade?
Some fourth round picks, some 25 picks,
He
and
doesn't want to
Jameson
deal
Williams.
25 pay. He doesn't want to pay ahead, so
Oh yeah.
well now to just touch on week 4 before we wrap it up. My matchup of the week. It's not our matchup. Our matchup, there's too much, there's not enough on the line in our matchup. But Jacoby versus Remy. Now that's a matchup that I'm interested to see how it plays out. Especially if Aaron
Yeah.
Jones is back. I think that matchup's a lot closer than we'd probably like to give credit to.
Yeah, it seems like Aaron Jones will probably play tomorrow, even with questionable tag. Yeah, that'll be a close game. I think
I think that's gonna end
whoever
up
loses
being
that should sell their star running back. That's to me for a second round pick.
whoever loses that has got to go on Feet Finder and sell their feet pick. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
God.
My,
But
my 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 matchup of this week is Andres versus Joss. I need to see the 3-0 Joss against the 1-2 Andres. This is like the battle of the opposite records.
yeah,
If Joss goes 4-0 here, it's
it's
gonna be
legit.
crazy. Yeah.
If he beats Andres, it's legit. If Andres loses, you start to sound the
He's
alarms.
officially in danger if he
He
loses
is
because
officially in
even with
danger.
how good his team is, like 1-3, it's hard to make the playoffs.
It's not just that it's hard to make the playoffs. Considering the other teams in this league, mainly Ethan and Mgerms, and you know what, to be fair, and this is why I'm against divisions now. We gotta get rid of the divisions.
I love divisions.
There's
We're a
no
part of
league
this one.
balance. There's no you got all 4 of the 3-0 teams on the same division.
Division winners is the only thing that matters. This would matter a lot
But
more if
that's
it was
but
just
that's
top four
that's what
from
I'm
each division
saying
make the
though. Like
playoffs.
it should be top 2 teams get the top 2 seeds. It shouldn't be based on division. Because Ethan's team is better than Andres's. Better record, more points for. He beat him. But he's going to be the 3 seed because of the divisions. I think if we're not getting rid of the divisions, we got to reorganize the divisions at least because it's extremely unbalanced.
I'd be cool to reorganize them. We should do 4 divisions, even though the math doesn't really work with that. We should do 4 divisions and
We have 14 teams. We can't do 4 divisions.
yeah, well, 2 of 3, 2 of 4. There we go. But yeah, no, we should definitely split the divisions. Maybe we should rebalance them, but who knows? Maybe after next year, one division gets like the entire top half the draft, or
You mean
even
Steven? You mean Steven gets the top half of the draft?
yeah. Well, he'll be competing for the top of that division with M. Tom and Andres. Well, the other one
Nah, I think
and
we'll have
Dumais.
to talk.
We've been
What
hyping Dumais up.
we're gonna be talking about realignment real soon. Conference realignment. It's coming to the
Yeah.
league sooner than you think. I'm taking bribes starting now. Who do you want in your division? We're going for the TV money.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the commission's got to get paid.
I hey, I gotta make a bag somehow. I'm doing this shit for free. I'm working these long hours, putting in
Are
all
we the
this
TV
effort.
money though? Like, are we having to pay for this since we're the TV program for the
I
league?
gotta
Like,
get
are we
paid for
okay?
this. We're
Like, are
getting
we like
high.
putting like $200 ourselves in the pot?
This is highway robbery.
I'm gonna outbid you for TV money. I'm gonna create my own network and not have a show with you.
You're gonna have Will guest star with you, not even being in this league.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna put $1,000 towards the TV money. $1,000 a year. But it's it's $100 per viewer, and
Hey, we got 14 views last episode.
okay, there we
We
go.
had
Whole league showing
14
up.
last episode. Sometimes we'll get like 20 something. I think one of them
I,
had
I
like 80.
but part of me wishes there's just like one person that just like randomly found this and is like doesn't even know what the league dynamics are, doesn't know what any of the lineups look like because we never show them, and they're just like, "Damn, I can't stop watching this."
These
He's like
guys
James
get
who
it.
made the goat.
He's gonna think James is like a four-time league. It's a self rebuild. He did it
Imgrim's like
himself.
can't be stopped like ever, but he's still never won the league.
He's never won. It's like all you hear all season is Emgrams has the best team. No one's gonna beat him. Then one random like we don't even do a playoff show. I don't think we did a show for the playoff. And
No.
then you start listening to the next season. Yeah, I can't believe Emgrams lost again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe that person's a fan of someone in this league. Maybe it's like maybe he's just rooting hardcore for. I feel like he'd be Ethan. I feel like he'd root for Ethan just randomly. He's just rooting for Ethan to win this league so bad, and then like whenever he finds out Ethan loses again, he's just gonna be
He's gonna
disappointed.
be heated.
Or
He's
she.
gonna
I don't
say,
know. I don't discriminate.
I can't take it anymore.
Hey, if that fan is out there, comment and we'll give you Ethan's Snapchat to cuss him out every time he loses.
If the fans out there, we'll send you a link to the league to see the rosters.
Yeah, true. You can be Ethan's co-manager. No money involved unless you want to donate to the
If
pot.
we have a fan that isn't part of the league, which I highly doubt, I just don't
No,
think
there's no
that
shot.
that's like not directly like related or like that's just completely random. Then I think when we do come out with the shirts, we gotta hook them up with a shirt. I feel like that's just we would just
Yeah,
have to.
yeah, we definitely have to do that. We got to hook him up with like a lot of stuff because I feel like this show isn't that entertaining. Just so
He's just
that
watching
that's
two.
pretty.
He's just watching two dumbasses talk about shit, stuff
Just
that
talk
just
about one
doesn't
single fantasy league.
like. Yeah, we're not even talking about like fantasy football in general. Like it'd be better if we were at least saying like like oh like this week I take Devonte Adams over Tyreek Hill because there's more like expected receiving yards per projected, the EPA. Like, we're not even doing
We don't have
that.
metrics on this show.
The only metrics we're going off of is like, yeah, he won. Pretty
Yeah,
good.
that guy won. He scored some points. I saw his
Hey,
snap percentage from some tweet was like 42%. That's pretty good.
hey, you wouldn't know this, but like only five running backs had only one running back had 100% of the running back snaps this week, and it was Kyron Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
The only stats we
Another
pull up
scrub I
here.
fucking traded away for basically nothing. Who
Hey, no, you got Devon Achane, who you then traded.
I then traded away for basically Alvin Kamara, and I don't know. It's a long chain of trades that led to that ended up with me
Brandon
having two
Ayuk?
first round
No, you
picks,
don't have
Alvin
Ayuk.
Kamara and Ayuk.
Oh
So
yeah, you have Ayuk, right?
yeah, so I'm
He's
not too
playing this week.
disappointed with
Yeah, no,
it.
no, that's a good trade.
It worked
The
out.
only the only stats we use are to help push our agendas.
Exactly.
Unless
Next
anyone
week, I'm putting myself in one of the power rankings no matter what, and it's my agenda is going to go through the roof. The agenda is going
unless
to be ridiculous. I'm putting Ethan last for like whatever. I'll come up with a stat that shows his team is fucking shit.
Unless someone provides us with different stats, I don't know what they're talking about. That doesn't look
Yeah.
right to me.
To our league members, if you send me stats that favor your team, I will put them in next week because that means I won't have to prep for your team.
Facts.
It's hard. It's hard to look over the roster, look over the matchups each week, and write down like 2 bullet points. It's tough. I work a day job. I don't have 40 hours to work on fantasy football either.
I have a job too, but I have no life. So
True.
Jake's got a job, a girlfriend, a
Can't be doxing me
job.
like that, Pablo.
If you want to know where Jake lives, just text me. I can tell you that to our one
Yeah.
non-league
The
member.
one fan we have will fly. I'll fly you out to Chicago and to their address, and then you can just like knock on the door and like sleep on the couch or something. I don't know. Yeah, if
We're not
you're a
doing that.
real fan, you get a free day with Pablo and a free T-shirt. Pablo will
We're
hand
not.
deliver your T-shirt free of charge. He'll fly to your house. If you're in India, he's pulling up. If you're in
We're
North
not
Korea,
doing
he's
that.
pulling up. If you're
But
in
we're gonna
West
wrap this
Virginia,
up.
he's pulling up.
I think we've gone away from fantasy football. Next week we will be having Steven on. He'll be talking about his rebuild. We'll be doing tiers. We'll be able to break this league up into a more perceptive view. Roughly a quarter in, just under a quarter into the season. Um, put it into perspective how we see things playing out from here on out. 4 weeks in, it gives us a better picture, but it's not the definitive picture. You never know what happens. And yeah, any last comments?
Oh,
No,
good
well,
luck, Pablo.
good luck,
You're
Jake.
gonna need it.
We're gonna figure out that side bet. After we gotta figure it out. It's an easy one.
Yeah, we'll find something.
I'm confident, so that's why I'm saying it's an easy one. But I'm gonna get cooked, so it's okay. But that's all the time we have for you. Be on the lookout for Tommy and his bets if he does do them this week. Um,
We
and take
need
it
them.
easy. Good luck. Enjoy watching football as always.